What if Mark Carney's appearance in Yellowknife was not just a speech? What if it was not just Northern outreach? What if it was a calculated demonstration of Arctic sovereignty designed to directly counter Donald Trump's aggressive Northern ambitions? Because tonight, reporting confirms that Carney traveled to one of Canada's most remote capitals to announce a comprehensive Arctic strategy, and the timing is no coincidence. Just weeks after Trump openly discussed purchasing Greenland and expanding American control over Arctic resources, Canada's Prime Minister stood in Yellowknife and delivered a message that Washington cannot ignore. This was not rhetoric. This was strategic positioning, and it signals that Trump's Northern pressure campaign is failing. Mark Carney has just announced Canada's most significant Arctic security commitment in decades. And he did it from Yellowknife, the capital of the Northwest Territories, located hundreds of miles north of most major Canadian cities. That location was deliberate. That location was symbolic. That location was a direct response to Donald Trump. Let's establish the facts. Carney traveled to Yellowknife to outline Canada's renewed Arctic strategy. According to government sources, the plan includes increased military presence, expanded infrastructure investment, enhanced Coast Guard capabilities, and strengthened partnerships with Indigenous communities. This is not exploratory. This is operational. Carney did not propose future studies. He announced commitments, outlined funding, and specified timelines. Now consider the timing. For months, Donald Trump has been making aggressive statements about Arctic expansion. He has openly discussed purchasing Greenland from Denmark. He has suggested that the United States should have greater control over northern shipping routes. He has implied that American economic and military interests should dominate the Arctic region. Those statements reflected a broader strategy to redefine American influence in the North. Trump framed this as securing resources and protecting national interests. But what he was actually doing was testing whether Canada and other Arctic nations would resist. Carney's response was not immediate. It was deliberate. Rather than reacting emotionally to Trump's rhetoric, Ottawa waited. It consulted with northern communities. It coordinated with allied governments. It prepared a comprehensive policy framework. And then Carney traveled north to announce it publicly. That sequence demonstrates that Canada did not panic. Canada prepared. And now Canada is moving forward with a strategy that directly counters Trump's ambitions without appearing reactive. The distinction between symbolic politics and operational sovereignty matters here. Trump's statements about Greenland were performative. He made headlines, but did not secure territorial gains, expand jurisdiction, or strengthen alliances. Carney's announcement was accompanied by funding commitments, military deployments, and infrastructure plans. This was not a speech for media coverage. This was policy implementation. What makes this particularly damaging for Trump is the international response. When Trump suggested purchasing Greenland, Denmark rejected it outright. European allies expressed discomfort. Nordic countries reinforced their commitment to Arctic cooperation frameworks, excluding unilateral American expansion. Trump's rhetoric did not expand American influence. It isolated Washington. Now, with Carney announcing a credible Arctic strategy backed by concrete investments, Canada is positioning itself as the reliable partner in the North, not the United States. This shift has real consequences. Arctic governance depends on multilateral cooperation. Climate change is opening new shipping routes. Resource extraction is becoming economically viable. Territorial boundaries are being tested. In that environment, trust, consistency, and predictability matter. Trump's approach undermined all three. Carney's approach reinforces them. And that is why allied governments are watching closely. Let's examine the structural motivations. Why would Carney prioritize an Arctic announcement in Yellowknife rather than Ottawa or Toronto? Because Yellowknife is not a media center. It is the geographic and symbolic heart of Canada's northern territories. By delivering this announcement there, Carney signaled that Arctic policy is not abstract. It is local. It affects northern communities directly. And those communities are Canadian. That distinction is critical. Trump framed Arctic expansion as economic opportunity. Carney framed it as sovereignty in partnership with Indigenous populations who have lived in the region for generations. This is where the narrative diverges fundamentally. Trump treats the Arctic as unclaimed territory to be secured. Carney treats it as sovereign Canadian land to be defended and developed responsibly. That difference matters diplomatically, legally, and in how other Arctic nations respond. Norway, Finland, Sweden, and Iceland are watching. If they perceive Canada as stabilizing and the United States as destabilizing, they will align accordingly. Now consider the institutional response. Canada's announcement was not made in isolation. It followed NATO consultations, coordination with Denmark and Norway, and engagement with Indigenous leadership councils. This was not unilateral. It was multilateral. And that framework directly counters Trump's vision of American dominance. Multilateral Arctic governance reduces Washington's leverage, distributes influence, creates accountability, and makes unilateral expansion politically and legally difficult. Defense analysts note that Canada's commitment includes new patrol ships, enhanced satellite surveillance, and expanded airfield capabilities. These are not symbolic gestures. These are operational investments that will fundamentally alter Canada's ability to monitor and control its northern territories. Trump can make statements. Carney is deploying resources. And in geopolitics, resources matter more than rhetoric. What may be most strategically significant is how Carney framed the announcement. He did not attack Trump directly. He did not mention American expansion. He simply outlined Canada's plans and emphasized partnership with Indigenous communities and allied nations. That restraint is deliberate. It allows Canada to strengthen its position without appearing confrontational. It forces Trump to either escalate, further isolating the United States, or remain silent, signaling his Arctic ambitions have stalled. This is classic strategic discipline. Trump thrives on confrontation. He escalates when challenged. He dominates media cycles through controversy. Carney's approach denies him that opportunity. By focusing on policy rather than personality, by emphasizing cooperation rather than conflict, Carney makes it difficult for Trump to claim Canada is being aggressive. Instead, Canada appears responsible. And that perception matters internationally. Republican lawmakers have been notably silent on Canada's Arctic announcement. No congressional statements defending Trump's Greenland proposal. No calls to counter Canada's northern investments. That silence is telling. It suggests that even within Trump's party, there is recognition that his Arctic rhetoric was not strategic. It was impulsive. And now that Canada has responded with credible policy, there is no political appetite in Washington to escalate. This creates a strategic problem for Trump. He built his brand on toughness and never backing down. But if Canada strengthens its Arctic presence with allied support, Trump faces a choice: escalate and risk further diplomatic isolation, or quietly retreat and accept that his northern ambitions have failed. Neither option strengthens his position. Both represent strategic setbacks. Mark Carney's Yellowknife announcement was not reactive. It was responsive. It demonstrated that Canada can defend its sovereignty without inflammatory rhetoric. It showed that multilateral cooperation remains viable under American pressure, and it positioned Canada as the stabilizing force in Arctic governance. Trump attempted to expand American influence. Instead, he may have accelerated Canadian leadership. For months, Trump has pressured Canada on trade, defense spending, and border security. He has used tariffs as leverage, questioned alliances, and implied Canadian sovereignty is negotiable. Carney's response has been consistent. Do not react emotionally. Do not escalate unnecessarily. Strengthen Canada structurally. Build alliances. Invest in infrastructure. Demonstrate credibility. Let Trump's rhetoric expose itself. This Arctic strategy fits that pattern perfectly. Trump made bold claims. Canada made concrete plans. Trump sought headlines. Canada sought operational capacity. Trump isolated allies. Canada reinforced partnerships. The outcome is clear. Trump is not expanding American influence in the North. He is losing it. The Yellowknife announcement sends a message to other Arctic nations. Canada is committed. Canada is investing. Canada is a reliable partner. That message matters because Arctic governance will define geopolitical influence for decades. Shipping routes, resource extraction, military positioning, climate response will be shaped by which nations demonstrate leadership now. Trump's approach suggests leadership means dominance. Carney's approach suggests leadership means partnership. And in the Arctic context, partnership is proving more effective. If you value serious geopolitical analysis and accountability in leadership, subscribe to Canada Today. We track power, influence, and strategy in real time. Because sometimes the most important moves are not the loudest. They are the most deliberate. Donald Trump wanted to dominate the Arctic. Mark Carney is defending it. Trump issued threats. Carney announced investments. Trump sought confrontation. Carney built coalitions. And now, as Canada strengthens its northern presence with allied support, Trump's Arctic ambitions are not expanding. They are collapsing. The North was supposed to be Trump's next frontier. Instead, it may become his next failure. Subscribe and stay informed as this story develops.